We are back after our short break. Continue with operating. I believe Councillor Penrod has one more motion that pertains to operating, which we'll get that dealt with. Then we're going to change our agenda. We're going into the library discussion, followed by the grant program discussion, and that'll wrap up operating is my understanding. So with that, can we please, Madam Clerk, put Councillor Penrod's motion on the screen that pertains to operating, and we'll deal with it, and we'll move on to the library discussion. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Daniel, to administration for your help in preparing this. I want to acknowledge that Mr. Lewicki had some advice that I've ignored by bringing this forward. Not to be disrespectful, simply wanted to be able to have the conversation at budget, and the other option that was given would have delayed and potentially missed this. What it is a proposed very small service enhancement. So with that, I'll move the motion that the municipal operating budget be amended by increasing priority 1 roadway ice control service level. Can't fill in the blank yet without Mr. Lewicki's advice to my previous point, and adding 65th Street and 60th Avenue intersection to be funded from, again, this number needs to be filled in based on the comments from Mr. Lewicki.
Okay. So at this point, do we...
So if I could speak to the motion?
Speak to your motion.
Thank you. Council and anyone with the proposed budget document in front of you, if you look towards the back of your package to Schedule B1, roadway ice control, and you go to the top northwestern quadrant of Beaumont, the Dansero community, and if you look at the intersection of 510 and Route 243, come down from that intersection to the next red, that's the entrance into the Dansero neighborhood. And the next intersection after that red T that is currently blank is the intersection under discussion here. Okay. So if you look at this map in detail, you'll find that this is a unique intersection in the sense that it's high traffic. This request comes directly from a group of residents that I met with earlier in the fall. And this was a common service request that came from them. We obviously did what we always do and asked folks to put that in through the service portal, but this is an opportunity at budget to respond in this way to their request. This service increase could be as simple as the operator who is already providing that red priority 1 service, which means 8 hours after 1 centimeter snow accumulation or equivalent snow drift, is driving from that red intersection to the red intersection 4-way near Dansero School, just pushing the button one more time. Now, Mr. Lewicki will tell me how I'm wrong on that, and I appreciate that, and I want to hear his advice on this. I think that's a good explanation of what we're asking for.
Thank you. Mr. Lewicki, are you able to provide some information and some clarity on the situation from an operational perspective, please?
Through the Mayor to Councillor Penrod. So when we talk about road and ice control, basically, we have to make sure we clarify what we're talking about. So that would be like sand chips and salt mixture put on there. My manager of Parks and Roads is indicating to me that although it's not marked on the map, we already salt and chip that section of roadway as a P1, even though it's not marked. So that's the information I'm trying to sort this out for you right now.
Thank you.
That's the information I'm getting. It's not shown, but it's being chipped and salted, or the sand and salt mixture is being spread on that area as if it were a P1 already.
Thank you.
But
Yeah.
I would have
So this could
given you
be as
that
simple as just
previously, I just
updating
found
the
that out.
map then?
It would be updating the map, because we are doing that already, I'm told.
So I think I would take council's advisement and the clerk's advisement, but I would think that this motion could stand with no dollar values assigned based on what Mr. Lewicki just advised us.
So you want to amend your motion and take out any reference to dollars?
Yes, please. So long as that makes sense to the,
Through the mayor to Councillor Penrod, yes, if we can just show no dollar value, we'll just have the map updated for the final budget document and show it as that.
thank you.
Thank you.
And I do want to make it clear, yesterday, it came through loud and clear, the pressure that your department and citywide that we're under to maintain existing services, and that decisions that we've made throughout this budget process puts downward pressure on our ability to meet those service levels. To Councillor Munkoff-Swain's point yesterday, having voted the way I have on several of those motions, I'll have to own some of that. But it is good to have the clarity for the residents in the map. So I think this motion is still important. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just wordsmith it here, and then we'll have you restate it in a moment, Councillor Penrod, and we can vote on it fairly quickly and move things along. Councillor Penrod, would you please restate your motion?
Thank you. I move the amended motion that the municipal operating budget be amended by increasing the priority 1 roadway ice control service level, adding 65th Street and 60th Avenue intersection, and that Schedule B1 roadway ice control map be updated.
Thank you, Councillor. I see no need to speak to your motion. You're comfortable going straight to a vote. And else, any questions from anybody? See no questions. Would you please initiate the voting process? That motion, Councillor Van Newkirk, how do you vote?
In favor, Mayor.
Thank you. That motion carries unanimously, 7-0 in favor of the motion. Thank you, Councillor Penrod. Thank you, Council. So as I mentioned a moment ago, we will, that concludes all motions for operating. And with that, we'll move into our discussion on the library. Is there a page from the amendment or agenda we can put on the screen that pertains to library? It came by email, did it not? I thought it came by email. Yeah. And we'll put the motion on the screen.
Mayor, we can't share the both at the same time. It's either the motion or the attachment.
Let's do the motion first, please. And then we'll leave the screen if we need it.
The mayor will just double check his number.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Munkoff-Swain, I believe you would like to make this motion. You have the floor, Sam.
Thank you. I will move that the proposed 2025 municipal operating budget be amended by funding the library operating budget 2025 in the amount of $93,400 for the purpose of supporting the compensation review as set out on page 173 of the November 27th, 2024 budget agenda package, and to be funded from the tax levy.
Thank you, Councillor. Please speak to your motion if you wish to.
Yeah, we heard from Laura and Aruna earlier about how behind the staff are, 24 to 36%, pretty straightforward. Yes, this will have an impact on the tax levy, but it's, call it a 0.3% roughly. If we don't fund it, then it's going to impact the libraries and their ability to issue the programming and collection. So I hope the votes are there, and I'll maybe, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this or not, if folks are in favor, I don't know if we need to all get up and say how great Laura is, although we love doing that. We could just vote. If people are opposed, then let's have a debate. Otherwise, we could move this one.
Okay. Discussion on the motion? Observation from anybody? Councillor Van Nieuwkerk, I can't see you. Do you have any questions on this motion or comments on this motion?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Barnhart, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Definitely support fair wages for our staff, and I'm just wondering, and I know it's sitting here, I don't know if I'm supposed to ask the question of council or administration, or can I ask Ms. Whitney?
Depends on the question.
Well, the question is
Ask
just
administration, please, first.
the timing of it. I guess why we didn't have this information when the budget was presented, because it took me by surprise, and that's the only question I have.
Okay. Ms. Morrison, can you speak to that?
Through the mayor to Councillor Barnhart, this was our oversight. It should have been in the original proposed package. It actually should have been right behind the library information. So it was definitely an oversight on our part.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, Councilor Telebus. Nathan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just, are we going to be bringing up the chart after, or no? I
We
just
can
heard.
if we need to. I was assuming council want to see that, but the motion's on the floor. We can bring up the page if you're okay, Sam. Bring up the page
Yes, please.
from the package. If we could, Madam Clerk, could we bring up the library page from the budget package, please? Hebe, Nathan? Yeah. Okay, so my understanding, while it's being brought up, administration, the library board operates separate from the city, so this grant from the city helps them with their operating, but we don't tell the library how to spend the money. That's not something we have any purview or any influence over, or can discuss how we spend the money. You have made your presentation, and you're asking for the capital amount of 92,000, whatever the number was, pardon me, but we have no influence on how the money is spent. Just so council is clear, in case you have any questions on that, it's not our purview or our purpose to tell the library how to spend the grant money. It's our purview to grant it the money, yes or no. So hope that clarifies any potential questions. Councilor Telebus, you have a question.
Yes, I do. I guess it relates more to not how you're spending it, but the proposed spend. Seeing a variance between 2024 and 2025 of 129,000 for new salary grids, merit, and COLA increase. Okay. So unfortunately, I'm a bad guy here, and I know I am. I've ran through this with city staff, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to hold my ground in the sense that not everyone is eligible for COLA, not everyone is eligible for merit and increased salary, and that's the concern I have, and I've heard from many residents is why is everyone, or potentially everyone, getting an increase in salary, and I haven't seen one in 5 years, yet my taxes go up. So that is the only concern that I have with what's been proposed.
Okay, so just to be clear, okay, that's your statement on it, but we have no influence on how the library spends the money. So we can't talk about COLA, and it's their money to spend as we see fit. So I appreciate your comment, but we can't go any further down this path.
I just don't know why, if that's the presentation, I'm just repeating what was provided. I'm going over the presentation.
Yeah, agreed, but it's not our response. Okay, I know what you're trying to do. I'm trying to support you in this. At the same time, too, we can't. If I'm wrong, administration, please jump in on this one. But my understanding is that the library board spends the library board money as they see fit based on their budget. Oh, which microphone are you pushing there? Ms. Dargy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, that's correct. So council provides the money to the library, and the library spends it as they deem fit. So it would be you're approving the total amount, you're revising the amount, whatever it is, but there's no direction from council on how the money is spent.
Correct, and I'm not directing, and I think I made that clear at the beginning. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate that. Councillor Penrod, you have a question?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question for Ms. Witten, or a couple that I think she can clarify fairly quickly. Thank you for your patience and for staying these extra hours between your presentation and now. Can you break out for us some of the costs related to Councillor Natellenbos's point? We had these awkward conversations yesterday with our own employees. Can you break out the numbers for us, COLA, merit, and benefits?
Why? It's
Because I'm contemplating amendment to the motion. We can't, it's my understanding that we could amend the motion
on the dollar amount.
on the
yes.
dollar amount. Ultimately, the library board receives whatever funds we forward them, and they're free to spend those, allocate them however they see fit.
Right,
And
I
I'm in full
understand.
support of that.
I understand that, but at the same time, too, we don't tell them how to spend the money, so I'll
Correct.
not entertain
But
any
we-
further...
but we do get
I'll
to-
not entertain any further discussion on COLA or merit about the library board. It's not our role. If you wish to amend the motion to a lesser amount for the library grant, that's your prerogative. But right now, we have a motion on the floor. You have to make an amendment to the motion.
How would I provide any rationale for an amendment to the motion if I have no idea what those numbers are? I would ask that Ms. Witten be allowed to answer if she has an answer prepared. And I would go so far to say as if she, on behalf of the board, doesn't feel like that would be appropriate, I would accept that.
Ms. Witten, do you wish to interject in the conversation? Please have a seat. I'll try and find the right microphone. Just hit the button, please, if you could. Yes.
So
Thank you.
I can't speak on behalf of the library board, and I'm not sure how they would direct me on this. What I can say is that the bulk of this amount is for the grid adjustment. There are smaller amounts in the approximately $16,000 that are COLA and merit, but the bulk of it is that grid adjustment piece.
Thank you, Ms. Witten, for that answer. Councilor Penrod, any further questions?
No, I don't.
Do you wish to amend the motion or ask for an amendment from Mr. Monkoff-Swain's motion?
I don't think, well, I'll ask the question. Would you entertain a friendly amendment to the amount? Okay. So, I'll move to amend the motion,
Okay.
adjusting the amount.
Okay, we'll have Madam Clerk assist you with that.
Yeah, and I have a
Amending
figure
motion?
here. So I believe the amount moved is the amount requested, 92,700. I would simply like to amend the amount to 75,900.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll wait for that motion to be put on the screen so we can discuss it and vote on it, and then go back to the original motion. Councillor McCook, do you wish to speak to this motion, amended motion, or the existing one? The amending one? Okay, once it's on the screen, please. Thank you. Once it's made, pardon me, officially. Thank you. Just give me a second. I got Steve here. Please make your motion, Councillor Penrod.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the motion on the floor be amended from 93,000, is it 93,400?
Yeah.
Thank you, to 75,900.
There's a speech, your motion?
The motion is simply to extend the logic of what we did yesterday, which is look at every way to control the levy. This is a much smaller amount, so I understand the impact on the levy is much smaller, but the principle remains. Yesterday, we looked at COLA and we looked at merit, and we made the decisions that we did. I've been asked not to speak about those specific things here, so I just had to come up with a number. To the best of my understanding, it would encapsulate would mirror some of the decisions we made yesterday.
Thank you. I have Councillor McCook, followed by Councillor Monkoff-Swain, followed by Councillor Van Newkirk. Kat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Administration, can you let us know what the impact on the levy is for 17,000?
0.05%.
0.05?
0.05.
0.05. Okay, thank you. I guess this will result in a reduction of services in the library. We heard from them that that would be a resulting impact. The payroll grid amounts have already been decided on and moved on by the board. Therefore, that is moving forward. So should this motion pass and we will see a reduction. So I guess I'm sure that Councillor Penrod is aware of that. I just want to be very clear that once again, 53% of our residents use the library and really rely on these services. And we're already very behind in the services for the library as it is. So this is another way that we put pressure on staff and services, and the pressure just keeps rising. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Monkoff-Swain, followed by Councillor Van Newkirk. Sam, you have the floor.
Thank you. I would just ask that, I think this motion would have passed if we didn't hear the word COLA. There was a review done that hasn't been done in a long time, right? And it would be different if this was just an annual ask, right? I would get the logic there, but the board needed more than 93,000, much more than that, and then the board worked very hard to reduce that budget several times. So the ask here could have been, they could have come in and said, 127,000, whatever that number was, and then you'd reduce it to 93. But the board worked hard to reduce where they could, recognizing it's a tough year. And this is not about giving staff who are paid appropriately a COLA adjustment. This is about staff who are 25 to 35, whatever the percentage was, 24 to 36% underfunded across the board. So I encourage people who are voting on this amendment to vote it down based on if this passes, then we're basically taking away services from the library. So I don't think I need to speak too much more on that. I think the votes are there, and I'll look forward to getting back to the original motion.
Thank you, Councillor Barnhart, and I'll go back to Councillor Penrod for a final comment.
Councillor Van Newkirk was.
He withdraw his question. I got my screen going.
You're way ahead of me. Thank you, Mayor. So similar to what Councillor Monkoff-Swain has said, I'd be inconsistent if I didn't support this, because I'm not supporting this motion that's on the floor. I'm supporting the original request. As much as I know that it's impacting all of us, I do really feel that the staff salaries are important, and I don't think we should be hurting the smaller organizations and the smaller parts of our organization because they don't have the large lobbying power that some of the larger organizations have. And I'm, again, thinking RCMP and how they're getting their funding. So I am going to be supporting the original motion and not Councillor Penrod's motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Telebus, you have the last comment, then I'll go to Councillor Penrod for a final comment before I call for the vote. Nathan, you have the floor.
Perfect. Thank you. Just in regard to, obviously, not here to direct how funding is going to be spent, but I am in alignment with Councillor Penrod, just in the sense that, I have to be firm and fair across the board, and I felt absolutely terrible pushing for no increase for the city staff. It's not something I want to do, but when it increases the burden on the residents in the community, it's something that has to be looked at and considered. And I appreciate Councillor Penrod bringing that forward and identifying that. So I am in support of this motion.
Thank you. Seeing no further comments, Councillor Penrod, final comment, then I'll call for the vote.
Thank you. And thank you, Councillor Moncalf-Swain, for the additional information and background. Thank you for representing this council on the library board. I see some of the numbers that you referenced in the presentation tonight, but they didn't come through with the nuance that you gave. So I appreciate the additional information and background there. It does, what I'm hearing from all my colleagues, it kind of comes down to consistency. I think it was important to at least ask the question. The question was asked of other people. To Councillor McCook's point, all of those pressures that are downward on services are very real, and all of those points applied to everything that we decided yesterday too. And so just in the sake of consistency, that'll determine my votes.
Thank you, Councillor. Seeing no further comments, I'll call for the vote. Would you please initiate the voting process on this amending motion? Councilman Newkirk, how do you vote?
Opposed.
Thank you, Council. That motion is defeated, 5-2. Councillors Penrod and Telebas in favor. The balance of Council not in favor. Motion is defeated. Back to the original motion on the floor. Are there any additional comments, questions on the original motion as in front of us here? If there's none, I'll go to Councillor Moncalf-Swain for a final comment before I call for the vote. Seeing none, Councillor Moncalf-Swain, you have the floor.
Yeah, I'd just say, in the spirit of fairness, we should pass this motion. Thank you.
Thank you for that last comment there on the motion. Seeing no further comments, as I mentioned, I'll call for the vote on this motion. Would you please initiate the voting process? Councillor Van Newkirk, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you, Councillor. The motion is carried 6-1. Councillor Telebas in opposition. Motion is carried. Thank you. All right, that takes care of the library portion of our operating budget. We now move into the grants portion. Madam Clerk, Zurich, to make a couple of comments on the grants and then move into the grant package that was a part of the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Clerk.
I just wanted to confirm procedure that the discussions this evening for the grant allocations for the motion are going to be open, not in closed discussion. I just wanted to clarify that. Should council members have any questions with regards to administration's recommendation on the confidential document, we can go into closed session at that time, but majority of the conversations will be an open discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay, you want to make a comment on that?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to update you on the tax rate percentage at this point after the last decision. So we're at 4.85%.
Thank you. I forgot that. I apologize, Council. 4.85%?
That's correct.
Thank you very much for reminding me of what I should have done a moment ago. I appreciate that. Okay. Ms. Lazurek, would you want to join us here if you like? I can make that work. Your microphone is on. When you're ready to please begin with an overview of the grant package in the agenda package.
Excellent. All right, so
Does everyone have it in front of them? I hear people moving papers. You got it in front of you?
Is it the closed session?
No, it's not.
Nope, it's open session as part of the agenda package that's published on the website, or when you may have it as part of your invitation to the meeting, one of the two. I have it personally on the city's website. That's the one the public sees. That's what we're looking at, is the public document.
This one is the...
The public one is 4.10. Which page on the package? in the agenda package, you said it's 273? Yeah, I've got a hard copy here, and I've got the agenda package from the public, so, okay. Thank you, Ms. Lesrick.
No, so I'll just give a really quick snapshot again of these operating major project grant process. So this is a new process for this year where we tried to streamline the groups that were coming to council throughout the year with various asks and kind of bring them in alignment with our other grant requesting processes, make sure we have a good process, good reporting, all the rest, as well as open it up to any other group that wanted to request ongoing operational or project funding through to council. So we had 17 different applications, different group for operating, major project, or just go through the applications, or sorry, just maybe before I jump to that, last year there was $130,000 that were allocated to different groups through this, what I keep calling direct to council requests. So I'll go through the groups that have applied for funding just quickly and kind of summarize their ask. So starting with Arts and Culture Group, Arts Association of Beaumont has requested starting with $50,000 and then going downward for the 3 full years, looking for operating funding there, particularly to hire a staff to support some of the projects that they're doing. Babadanak Trust Foundation requesting $10,000 operational funding for 3 years to support South Asian healthcare professionals and supporting some mental health supports in our community. Beaumont and District Agricultural Society submitted a request for $25,000 for 3 years for operating grant money, supporting their programming that they do here in the community. And then they also submitted a $50,000 for 3-year grant request, project grant request, looking at renovating the Go Bay Heritage Barn to make it a usable programming space here in the community. So I just want to make sure my pages didn't get mixed up. There we go. Heritage Society requested operating funding for 3 years, $15,000 each year to support operation of the St. Jacques Heritage House. Music Festival is looking to continue regular funding from council for $50,000 for 3 years moving forward to support the Music Festival here in Beaumont. Beaumont Society of Art for the Arts requested $50,000 for 3 years to support their funding of a variety of different arts-based programming here in the community. Empowering Women Entrepreneurs submitted a operating grant request for $40,000 to start and then going downward for 3 years, looking at supporting their programming and support of women entrepreneurs in the community, as well as the night market that they host yearly. Moving on to the community groups, Beaumont 50 Plus Club submitted a 1-year project request for $15,000 for a flooring renovation they're looking to do to enhance some of the space that they have there. Beaumont Chamber of Commerce submitted a 3-year, $15,000 each year operating grant request to support the supports that they provide here in the community, as well as specifically the business showcase and career fair that they host at Ken Nickel during Beaumont Days. And then they also had a $40,000 1-year major project request that was focused on signage in the south part of town. It would be a revenue creation for them in terms of businesses advertising themselves here in Beaumont. Beaumont Winter Indoor Playground asked for $5,700 for 3 years to support operational funding for that group. Drive Happiness Seniors Association, $18,000, $18,012, and then kind of escalating for 3 straight years to support their work in senior assisted transportation programming here in our community. Leducan District Food Bank, $15,000 for 3 straight years. Again, this is a continuation of ongoing funding regularly here through the City of Beaumont to support what they do here in our community as well as outlying areas. Rise Up Society, $12,000 for 3 straight years for their work in the community and outside. Intimate partner violence, psychoeducation here in the community related to domestic violence. And then lastly, the sports groups. There's 4 sport groups that requested funding. Beaumont Curling Club, $25,000 for 3 years for operational funding and some programming they do here for youth. $25,000 for 3 straight years for project grant requests, looking at some renovation work, and then a new ice scraper that they're requesting. Sorry, I feel like I'm going pretty quick. Are we okay? We good? Okay. Minor ball, $50,000 1-year request, looking at renovating a baseball diamond at J.E. LaPointe and providing a specifically youth baseball space. Beaumont Skating Club, $25,000 for 3 years, cover the cost of ice for some additional programming and changing some of the directions for what they do. And then Excel Artistic Swimming, $7,500 in the first year, and then upwards from there to support some of their programming. And that is the 17 requests.
Okay. Questions for Ms. Lazarek at this point? Councillor Bond?
Not sure where to start on this. Thank you for the presentation, though, and this was, could just confirm the timing here. So this was a transitional year, first time we were doing the major grant, and in my history, the first time that council has been involved in actually deliberating over how to spend it for organizations like this. So maybe talk a little bit about how that has gone and how groups are responding to the application process, and basically you have many of them underway right now, or have been underway, and I know that there's other arts grants and there's other community grants. So just to put it all out there so you can think about it, what I'm trying to get at here is that there are a number of organizations that may or may not have been funded in the other grants and put all of their requests into the major operating grants. So I wonder if you could speak a little bit to that, because I believe that you might have heard some of that feedback.
Yeah, I think this being the first year for this new operating a major project grant process, it's been, so a little clunky just in terms of organizations understanding where to apply, how to apply. In many ways, though, it kind of opened up a new avenue. Some of these other groups commonly knew they could come to council and ask for funding, whereas maybe these other groups didn't feel they'd have an opportunity. And so now this opened up this new opportunity with more funding and ongoing funding. So it attracted some attention, but I think to speak to your point, I think there has been some confusion about, where should we apply best? Where should we direct our funding? My feeling is administration has always happy to have that conversation with people and encourage them to apply wherever they can. And there's, they could apply in different ways in different grants. But there has been a little bit of confusion. I think now that we're through this first iteration, I think it'll be a lot clearer next year as we move forward with groups.
If I could, Mayor, just a little further to that, my understanding is that the money for this particular grant project is 2025 money, and the other grant processes were dealt with in 2024.
For the arts grants and community grants, they have up to 12 months to use that funding. So
Covers, it goes over.
yeah, so it does go over.
But the budget is where?
Correct. Yeah, 2024.
That's the confusing part.
Yeah,
because
it is.
As I think it's public knowledge, we've already approved or rather received the report on the arts grants and the community grants. And where community grants spent all of the money there, the arts did not. And so because this is the first year of this particular grant, I'm trying to find a way to support more of what's going on in the community, because I am seeing that we don't have enough money to support some of the requests that if they had gone the other way this year, if they'd gone into the arts or the community grant, they may or may not have gotten funded. But knowing that the arts community had money that they didn't spend for good reason, because they weren't the applications that they wanted to support. Anyway, that's my dilemma. I don't know if you have any suggestions about how we could deal with this, if we can at all. I've tried to look at how to move that money and make the appropriate motion so that we could have more in the pot. And then of course, then it depends what council decides to do and who to give it to. But Mayor, I don't know if that's out of line at this point. I'm just not sure of the process to have that discussion.
Thank you, Councillor. Just give me 1 second, sorry. I have to, you're finished?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry. I just want to make sure, I may be confused myself. So can we put up on the screen the recommendations for the grants? I maybe look at the wrong page. I've got myself confused here, so I apologize to council, administration, if I'm the one that's confused. This is the document that's in the public agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. The one that is up there is the public one. The other one in the confidential is in the meeting invite in the Outlook, the closed session agenda.
Right.
Those are administration's recommendations, which are confidential.
Okay. I'm going to take administrative break for 2 minutes to get things clarified. Can we stop the live feed? We're adjourned for 2 or 3 minutes. Make sure I understand exactly what we're doing, sort of what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not making any mistakes. So when the live feed is over, okay.